Hello, and welcome to Hanratty on Karate. So, I was going through Dojo Kun, explaining Dojo Kun to some white belts the other day. Now, in our dojo, we do it in Japanese, but I know a lot of dojos do it in English, and it doesn't matter which way you do it. I tend to do the traditional way, but I didn't have any Japanese speakers in the club, and so I was explaining the translations. And one of the translations is be faithful. Now, in Japanese, it's be faithful to the path, or be faithful to karate, if you like, but be faithful to the way. But just be faithful is the shortened English version that some people use. Now, I've been in dojos where they just use one word for each of the 5 precepts of the Dojo Kun, and instead of faithful, they say loyalty. So I was thinking about loyalty, and over the years, many years I've been involved in karate, you come across people who are friends or students or even teachers, and your loyalty is quite often tested. And I get to thinking why, and I'm trying to explain it to people and trying to explain it to students, why loyalty is quite important. It came up once when I was doing some instructor training and I was explaining the concept of shuhari, which is follow the basics, then look for yourself, and then finally do your own thing. Very, very simply, I think I've done an episode on shuhari, and so it's explained a lot more there. But it doesn't really go against loyalty. Now, loyalty has many aspects. You can be loyal to an idea, you can be loyal to a friend, you can be loyal to a country or an institution. Probably institutions are the most dangerous kind of loyalty because you don't have any real control over what that institution portrays in some respects, especially these days, particularly if it's a political institution. But loyalty is a very original concept. It kind of goes back to Stone Age when it was tribal, and it's got deep evolutionary roots. So early humans who remained loyal to their groups were more likely to survive, the environment and the threats that it brought. It could cooperate in hunting and gathering and protect the offspring. So this is kind of an evolutionary predisposition that's strengthened through social bonds, and it's selected over generations. There's humans, after all, are herd animals, okay? So the way loyalty is reinforced is through repeated positive interactions and shared history. This is very obvious in a dojo. When you first come in, you may not have a shared history, but you start being involved in the shared interactions, particularly if you follow simple things like bowing in and bowing out. These become little rituals, if you like, bowing to the instructor, bowing to each other before sparring and stuff like this. All these little rituals kind of reinforce the bond. But there's times when loyalty changes, and there's betrayals in loyalty that are quite hard to understand. And I know a lot of instructors have gone through this, where they've had a student and all of a sudden the student just leaves. No explanation, no discussion, just stop coming. So this is kind of hard. I know these days they call it ghosting. We just call it leaving. It's hard to understand when somebody leaves. I can understand somebody leaving, for example, if they're moving away, or if their education has taken over their priorities, or family, or, all the other stuff that you come across for people not carrying on in karate. We've all been through it, injuries, stuff like this. This doesn't take anything from your loyalty. You probably still feel that loyalty to the club, apart from the people who just drop it and leave, and maybe even show up at another dojo. I don't know. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So there used to be almost a physical pain when I first started out teaching. When I first came over to Canada, I started out teaching, and I couldn't understand it because I didn't understand really what attracted me to karate. And it's hard to understand and put across the feeling that I get from it and expect everybody else to get the same feeling. It just doesn't work like that, right? Everybody's karate is their own. It's a very, very individual thing. It's like your voice or the way you walk or your height or your size. It's all individual, and karate is like that. There is some individuals that it becomes very easy to Some people think it's too easy, it doesn't really mean anything. Other people find it very hard, and so they drop out. But they're the people that really would gain a lot more if they stayed in, because the adversity and the resilience that you learn by staying in the art really does build your character and improves it. And the loyalty part is all part of that. It's part of the psychological reservoir of trust and goodwill in what you're doing with the dojo. So cognitively, there's rational assessments and benefits and shared values in belonging. And of course, it's an emotional identity, if you like, that you belong to such and such a dojo. This is why you have large groups. This is why football teams have fans and stuff like that. Most football fans in England, anyway, in the UK, never leave the club that they supported from when they were a kid. I've never heard of anybody switching from Liverpool to Everton Football Club, for example. Loyalty can really shape your life. And there's quite a lot of psychological aspects that have been written about loyalty and the character values, the integrity and the emotional discipline that it brings along, because you're persevering with the group that you're involved in and you're loyal to them. You may not physically defend them, but you'll probably vocally defend them, and you'll want to defend them inside. Now, sometimes loyalty can be very, very deep, and you may even defend somebody even if there's a better alternative offered, which is why a lot of people stick with their organization when there's obviously maybe better organizations or they've got more to offer you. But you stick with the one that you started with, hopefully, or you stick with the one that you're with. And this is great. It's part of the dojo kun. Now, over the years, I've developed many friendships and relations with lots of people. And my opinion is you always stay loyal to your friends. Friends are something that you treasure, and you're never disloyal to them. Now, I had an argument a few years ago with an American group that I was technically involved with. I was teaching at their camps and stuff like that. However, they kind of turned against one of the head instructors, and I just didn't agree with it. And I told them right out that this is wrong. You do not do this. There's loyalty involved. And they'd all trained under this guy, and they'd gotten a lot from it. It really disappointed me because I kind of liked a lot of the guys. And I'm not saying I dislike them now, but we just don't talk anymore. I don't get involved with anything that they do. And that kind of hurt that they didn't get that part out of karate. They didn't receive this kind of feeling of loyalty and belonging and staying faithful to your fellow students or teachers. That was something that obviously was missed out of their organization. But that was them. Certainly wasn't my idea of loyalty. And I'm still friends with this instructor now, even though he's 12,000 miles away in a different part of the world. We're still best friends. In fact, he called me yesterday and phoned up, wished my wife happy birthday today. So we're really good friends. It's the same with people I've met through karate and been involved with. I don't involve myself with World Shotokan Karate Association anymore. I'm getting a bit old, and the other reason was I didn't really agree with the leadership. But the people who are involved with WUSCA, I still am good friends with. Malcolm Dorfman, for example. We're still good friends. We always will be. We disagree on a lot of stuff, particularly on politics and stuff like that. But we agree to disagree. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still be faithful and be loyal to your friends, even though you disagree. Not everybody is going to think the same way as you. It's like not everybody does karate the same as you. So this is how things go. And you build relationships, and the relationships are worthwhile. They'll last for years. My good friend and fellow instructor, Robert, we're going to an opening of his new dojo up near Edmonton in a couple of weeks' time. I've been friends with him for 30-odd years more. And a lot of the people that I know in karate, I've known since the beginning. Last time I was back in Liverpool, unfortunately it's quite a long time ago, was 2013, and there was a whole bunch of old Triangle members there, a Red Triangle Karate Club, and we all got together and our picture taken was Joe Farley and John Bolton and Jimmy Brennan and quite a few other people. And it was kind of a nostalgic thing. but the loyalty was still there. These are still guys that you'd go to bat for in any circumstance, and that's what loyalty is. Now, it doesn't always work out, I know, but that's what it is. It's kind of a human instinctive thing, because we're herd animals, we like to get together. And once you form these bonds, they should be hard to break, but some people, they just break them anyway. But being true to yourself and being true to your classmates, if you like, or your students or your instructors, it's all part of karate. It's all part of this. And if you delve into the psychology of loyalty and faithfulness, it gives you a lot of insights as to why you do it and what you do it for. And I always say to my students, if you've got any problems with me or what I teach or how I teach it or what it's for, and because I'm a big fan of knowing what I'm doing something for, then, you come to me and we'll discuss it. There's nothing wrong with discussing it. We can even disagree with it. You tell me your reasons, I'll tell you mine. And, maybe we'll both come away enlightened. But staying in your club can be very, very rewarding. I know over the years I've had quite a few people formed relationships in the club, even gotten married and had kids and moved on and then brought the kids back for training. So this is what happened to me. I'm trying to think, it was about 96, 97. I had a group of ladies who were in a sales group, if you like. They had a clothing brand that they all worked together on, and they wanted to do a self-defense course. So I agreed to teach this self-defense course, but I said, I don't do, your 2-hour seminar or your 2-day seminar where I show you stuff and then you just go away and forget about it. My opinion of self-defense is mostly attitude and psychological. I said, but I'm prepared to give you, I think it was a 4 or 6 week course. It turned out quite well because these ladies could all had time in their day that they could come along to the dojo and work for 2 hours on self-defense principles. And I think I had about 25 of them to start. It turned out to be a great class. I brought in a couple of students to help me demonstrate and stuff like that. But 4 of those ladies, after the course had finished, there was more than 4, I think 5 or 6 of them decided to join the club and carry on with the training from white belt on up. And one of the benefits I got from that was one of the girls that stayed, it was Julie, my wife. She worked all the way up to black belt, so did 2 others, I believe. They worked all the way up to black belt, carried on their training, did very well for themselves. So there was loyalty in there. Now, you might think that maybe for getting to black belt out of 25 was not a good retention figure, but in actual fact, it's an amazing retention figure when you look at how many people come through your doors and stay all the way to black belt. It's not very many. Probably a couple, 3,000 come in till you're going to get one that goes all the way to black belt. Particularly in my dojo, grading isn't a reward. Grading is just an acknowledgement that you've trained to the level of whatever grade you're going for and the work you've put in. And in my dojo and all the dojos that I've ever had anything to do with, that work is pretty hard. It challenges you, it pushes you, but the rewarding is there. It's always there. If you look at it, you're always going to have it. I often get people come back and they'll say, well, I trained with you when I was 14 or 15 and I've never forgot this, that and the other, and I wish I'd carried on. The loyalty is still there, but the enthusiasm, if you like, wasn't there for them to carry on. I always tell them, well, you can still come back. It doesn't matter what age you come back at. It's up to you, So all you have to do is just look at loyalty as a psychological thing, and people have to be attracted to whatever you're offering. The ideas have to identify with you, or your ideas have to identify with them to build loyalty. And the best way to do this is be as honest as you can in your teaching. Don't try to con anybody. Just teach them the right way. Don't push your loyalty to maybe a big institution or organization. That should always come secondary to the relationship between the instructor and the student. Any relationship outside of the dojo is secondary. So if You may belong to the JKA, you may belong to the KUGB or JKS, or there's a million organizations out there. These all come secondary when you're looking at dojo loyalty to what your student and instructor have. Now, over the years, as I say, I've met many, many people from different organizations. I'm still good friends with them, and that's because you stay loyal. You could give me a call, and if you're in trouble, yeah, I'll help you out. That's what we're for. People I know very well could call me anytime. It'd be Ed Otis down in Melbourne, Australia, or Dave Jones, different organization than me, but I've known him for 40-odd years. He's head instructor for ISKF Canada. He may even be head instructor for ISKF for all I know. But David's a good man. I've known him and his wife. I originally started training with him. I think I graded his wife, Laurie, up to a green belt or purple belt early on in the early 80s. And then they moved on to ISKF, different organization. I think I stayed with JKA at that time. So all of these people, different organizations, there's still a loyalty there. There's still a friendship there. There's still a recognition of each other's attributes and how we identify with each other. You make many friends. Unfortunately, at my age, a lot of the friends start to fade away. You miss them, but you're still loyal to them. You'll defend them, whatever, no matter whether they're there or not. So that's loyalty. It's just one aspect of the dojo-kun that's probably misses a lot, and it's probably the first rule in the dojo-kun that gets broken, is being loyal to your dojo. So anyway, just something to think about. As I say, it has its rewards. I got a beautiful wife out of relationships that formed over the years, and friends are gold. Friends are something that you should always treasure, and you realize as you get older and older and older, then they get fewer and fewer, you're going to miss them. So while they're still around, enjoy. Okay, so this is it from me this time. Any questions or comments? Always glad for feedback. I say I've been getting lots of feedback lately. Post some of them. Just let me know. All right? Bye for now.